is that you have to be like outstatted in something. Your combos are better, your awareness is better, your neutral's better. This is what I'm doing in a match because I know I can beat them. One of the biggest tips that I can give you guys is how you think about what to do in a matchup. And what I mean to say is most people think forward, and I think that people need to start thinking backwards. A lot of people will say things like, what do I do on their wake up? Rather than you should be saying, on their wake up, they want to do this. How do I stop them from doing it? And I think that when you start to think in that way, you start to be able to create your own game plan. Let me show you what I mean. So it's very common to do something like this here, right? And the reason is because it's relatively safe. The thing about it is like you can be mashed out of it, right? If you do medium fuha, right? Most people like won't press there. They usually will press here, right? So in cases like where you would want to do this, fine, right? If they throw out a light punch, you're kind of smoked, right? But the issue that I find is something like this. See? So against Juri, this button is good in traps like that. What your brain should be doing at this point is saying, not how do I get a person to stop pressing button, but when I fight Juri, they tend to mash buttons in between that string. What do I do? So having a problem specifically and then trying to find an answer specifically, I think is a good way to improve, because you're going to start building more information than your opponent. You think of a matchup as, I just need to play better. But what does play better mean, right? What does being better than your opponent means? It could be something along the lines of like, I need to be able to do better combos than them. I might need to know more on the matchup, right? Maybe I have more experience. But the way that I view it is that you have to be like outstatted in something, and you can use that to leverage a win, to leverage power. It's something that you have over them, right? Your combos are better, your awareness is better, your neutral's better. And like when you have a skill, you can say, this is what I'm doing in a match because I know I can beat them if I do this in the match. What K5 brought up is they usually like to frame trap with light kick into medium fuha, but it doesn't work. So they started doing strong and to walk up strong. So it looks at like something like this, right? And like that's good for a few reasons, right? It's good because it's not an automatic timing, which means that your opponent has to like adjust to a timing that's unknown. Meaning, am I going to press a button here? Or am I going to press a button here? And this space here, that difference in timing could be the difference between this, or it could be the difference between this. It could be the difference between this. Anything is possible. And because you have left this ambiguous timing, you're always going to open them up to possibly make the wrong choice. So when you say that you're doing this, right? I think you should ask the question, like, why does this work? And the way that you can find how it works or like why it works is that you look back on the replay and you see what your opponent did to get hit by it. So if you look back on the replay and you see that, for an example, right? You do this and you're like, oh, they got hit. Why did they get hit? Right? What did they try to do there? And you see that they tried to throw, all of a sudden you have a lot of information. You're going backwards. You see what they did. You can go backwards. You see that they got hit, and then you see what they did. Then you can come up with a better plan. If you do this and you walk up and you strike them again, and you see that they went for throw, then that means something like this might work. And that could be the difference between a win or a loss, right? If you do this, right? Or if you do this, the damage that you get off of this case here is much less than if you had did this. So it's like when you see how a person responds in that case, then you could come up with what you want to do there based on your resources and such. A good example of what I like to do is I find that people tend to throw here. So then I start to think about, okay, if I know that they're going to throw there, what can I do? So I'm +6 here. And if they want to throw, I could do that, right? So it's like you can come up with a plan based on what you see a person doing. I'll give you a good example, right? I found that people were doing some things here, right? Right? So since I saw that they were like doing dumb things here, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm +4 here. That's a frame trap. Jago showed me this, right? This is a good example. They showed it to me, and then I realized why it worked. But I'm going to do it backwards again. After a safe jump, people like to throw, or what they'll do is that they'll try to jump out of the corner. And I'll show you what that looks like. So after a safe jump, I will force them to block, then I'll go for a throw, and they do that. And there's like things to do here, right? You could do like a cross cut, or you could do like a throw backwards. Right? So the quest is, how do I get a person to stop jumping out the corner? Right? I see what they're doing. I need them to stop it. Jago is like, just use this. And he showed it to me. And I tried it. And it works. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And Jago is like, hold on. The reason why this is cool is because if they press a button, they get hit, right? And I'm like, what? And they're like, it trades. Right? I was like, oh, cool. And he's like, that's not all. Let's say they go for a throw. And I'm like, what happened? Same deal. They still get hit. Seeing what the opponent wanted to do, asking the question, what can I do, helps you make a detailed plan. And then you come up with a game plan. And eventually, you'll start having these like very specific to you game plan that you know how to deal with specific things. So that's just like how I view things when it comes to like coming up with a plan. The biggest thing is one that I came up with is against Jamie. Happy birthday, Jamie, dog. And what I mean is a lot of times Jamie players will like mash this button. So it's common that like Jamie players will like force your lights to whiff, right? It sucks because it doesn't matter how you do it. It doesn't matter like what. I mean, if you do a light kick, it works, right? But you don't get anything off the light kick. That's the only thing, right? That's the one thing that sucks. But you can't do a medium kick. I guess that does work, right? I said a punish counter. Oh, it's probably because I have function range on. My bad. Oh, it still works. What the fuck? Oh, that's interesting. It just doesn't travel in time. Mathematically, this should work, but distance it doesn't. So that's an answer, right? At least now I know. Right? Cool. But I also found like something like this, right? That's +7. If you see that they whiff, you can always do a punish there. The biggest piece of advice, again, I can give to people is find a very specific question and answer that specific question. And if you're having a problem remembering what you want to do, I suggest you get a book. Whenever you have a question, you write it down. And then over your session, you might have like 5 or 6 things. So if there's a day where you want to improve and you don't want to actually play the game because like you're not in the mood to deal with like the nonsense of Street Fighter 6 or blah, 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 right? You can always go, hey, you know what? I'm going to turn on some Kendrick. I'm going to vibe out and just go over my list and find answers. If I can't find an answer, I can talk to a person who knows the answer or who might have better insight on the answer. And I don't mean stuff like, how do I get better in Ninja Neutral? What I mean, it's like have a very specific question. Like, I can't deal with Jamie Palm. And then you could like find the answer specifically for that. And the reason why I like that is that it helps you critically think. It allows you to find answers that's specific to you. Because like I can say, oh, just DI it. But the Jamie player might look for it. But if you're able to train yourself on something specific to you, the Jamie player might be like, I've never seen someone do that. That's kind of wild. So like I trained this here. JP cannot jump in on me, right? At all, ever. He cannot jump in ever on me. It doesn't matter where he is. He cannot jump in on me. I'm always going to stop him. He cannot raw and do that to me, right? He can't. He's unable to do so, right? So it's like if I see a JP do that, like I have an answer that's specific to me, right? So I think that's cool to me, right? That's not gonna work, right? Right? That answer is specific to me. You're never gonna find a person who does that, right? You're never gonna find a person. I dare you guys to try to do this, right? I dare you to try it. Try it. I promise you, you'll have a hard time to do it. This is an answer specific to me. Right. Another point, right? Not a lot of Juri players that I fight do this. Not a lot of them do that. I do that shit round start. I drop the 2 bars and then I drop it. I don't give a fuck. To the point where I fought my V rival and it did it back to me. And I was like, I know it works. Because I do this shit, right? And like, I don't see other people doing this combo here, right? This is specific to me. That's me, right? That's me. That's a specific Kail thing, right? Steal my shit, chat. Round start, boom, corner, double overhead time. You might play a person and they've never seen that before. They might not have an answer for it. That might be the reason why you win the match. Again, they might not ever see that. You know what I mean? That could be a you thing, right? So that's what I'm saying, right? You have a question, find the answer. That's all I'm saying.